That's a very sturdy. Well,
two tables together. To be fair, season 1, he just puts an outdoor table in front of him, and it blocks a bunch of rockets and shit. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with another episode of Gundam Seed Destiny. First up, though, we have a couple of comments from the Patreon. First up, from Fenrir756, from the episode The Chosen Path. One of the issues I have with Destiny is what is currently being done with Kigali and the Orb government. Unfortunately, it was never made very clear in Gundam Seed exactly how the Orb government made decisions, whether the chief representative has the final say on all matters, or if decisions are made by the entire group of ministers as a whole. The ambiguity creates a problem because it is unclear if Kigali is being badgered/manipulated into agreeing to join Orb to the Earth Alliance, or if the rest of the ministers/representatives are forcing it through over her objections. Furthermore, this also retroactively makes the prior government's decisions to blow themselves up instead of leaving Orb in the Kusanagi very stupid, as they should have known how the Siren's political views contradicted Orb's ideals, and that it would leave Orb vulnerable to being forced away from its principles. Also, it is unexplained why neither Unato nor Yuna had any involvement in the prior government, despite being the most important members of one of the 5 great clans, a term which is never discussed in the first season, but does how up. Sorry, these words are very confusing. No, it says
they show up, I think.
Yeah, that's the intent, but just to show you I'm not flummoxing a normal sentence. But does how up in Australia. Yeah, sorry. There's a medical problem working with me too, so I apologize.
It's okay.
And why they weren't present when Azumi and the others decided to self-detonate.
Yeah, and I do have quite a bit of my notes touch on aspects of that, not on the organization of Orb, although we really talk, I think that comment comes from we were trying to figure it out ourselves. But clearly, and I think also it's a matter, again, we were talking about actual power versus saying having the title, and who has actual power versus, possible power, right? Untap ability. Where I think it shows that people were, her father was called the Lion of Orb, right? So people were willing to go along with it. And in fact, his second in command was standing right there, like, yeah, we got to do this. And he just presses a button and it just blows up, right? My guess that these people are the people who are filling in the power vacuum for the people who blew themselves up, right? Or went into hiding, right? Because if the leader of your country and your second, your prime minister, whatever, also blows himself up, and maybe some of your military leadership, then everyone else who's left, they have to fill in. And they're to me, they sound like opportunists taking advantage of the situation, right? Probably they were minor players. This big important figure just did this and like, oh, well, they're not there anymore. Which also goes to something I want to say about the Yuna Kigali situation, which now that I remember her father's title kind of makes even more sense of something that Yuna says to his father, right? In the episode.
To the element of why Unato or Yuna didn't have any involvement in the prior government, I don't know that is, we can say that. Just because we didn't see them doesn't mean that they weren't there, right?
Yeah, they probably were, but they were not important enough to get blown up. Right?
My second point would be towards that. I don't think it has anything to do with importance. If they weren't there, they weren't there. You're not gonna, well, shit, I gotta go across the country to go blow myself up in a place. If they were off in a different part of Orb doing shit, and they weren't present there, you think they're gonna cross the country to go blow themselves up with the rest of the government? Oh man, I gotta go back to the Senate House. We're blowing ourselves up today. Oh, but dear, you have dinner tonight. No, I'm sorry. Gotta go blow myself up.
They were the people that, even in the leadership of or blowing themselves up and the islands were evacuated, the territory was still probably occupied by the Federation.
It
The
was.
alliance.
We saw that. It
So
was. I mean, my
that
point is more
means
so that this is
that these
probably
people,
just the one family. The one family was here, and that was it. They blew themselves up.
These might be people who cooperate. They're maybe collaborators and cooperators with the alliance, And when you have the armistice,
I'm not talking any of that though. I'm just talking about why they weren't there to blow themselves up.
Yeah.
And the fact that we don't see them before that as well. Just because they weren't around. They're not on screen because they're not important.
Yeah.
We're only they're not important to the story we're telling, right? I don't I don't know. When I'm doing an episode of West Wing, right? I don't show you every fucking senator that is out there because they're not important to the immediate story. I'm telling you the senators that are having to do with the vote that we're doing, or the ones that are up in the air. The ones that are 100% going to vote against, don't need to know about them. The ones that are 100% to vote for, don't need to know about them. It's the ones that are in the middle that I can have to, politic to get their vote. Those are the guys that you put on screen. These guys, obviously, their stance is known to us now, to then retroactively figure out what they might have been doing back then.
Yep.
As for not knowing how the government works,
again, not a lot of information. No, we don't have a lot of information. It would have to go into wikis and stuff like that to find out.
Well, we can piecemeal some shit together here, like the fact that they're pushing it through. And last episode, they did say, despite Kigali's objections, and then Kigali goes to talk to them before they leave.
Yeah.
Implying that she says, I think she couldn't buy any more time.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know either, because thinking about it, it does feel like a peer pressure situation. But I still say that she probably has the authority to just go against. But it feels like if she does, it will be political suicide, that she won't be making any more decisions after that.
Yeah. But again, notes to what I'm about to say, that kind of has already happened in a way. Not in a political suicide situation, but more of you had your chance, and that chance, now it's gone.
Well, more so that if she does this thing, that might be the course that they would need to give a vote of no confidence and force her out of a position of power.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Fenrir756, also from the Patreon, from the episode Blood in the Water. I thought this was clear in the episode, but Yuna has been communicating with the Earth forces behind Kigali's back to sell out the Minerva, and was using Orb to please the Atlantic Federation before the treaty with Orb was signed. Yuna does not have the authority to act on Orb's behalf when interacting with the Atlantic Federation without Kigali's knowledge and the approval of the government as a whole, but he's doing it anyways to score points with the Atlantic Federation, and even gave secret orders to the Orb border forces to sink the Minerva once they received the orders to fire warning shots. But thankfully, Totaka subverted those orders. There is also no information to suggest Yuna's been manipulated so far, and has only ever acted for his own beliefs/interests. So I'm just now realizing how much of my notes are just what Fenrir has said already.
Yeah.
To be fair, I took Fenrir's comments after we posted last ones up on Patreon, and then was writing my notes at 2 a.m. this morning. So there's been a long period of time where I have not looked at Fenrir's notes here.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue, though. I would argue against you, in fact. Because this was Fenrir's argument here is your argument from last episode, where I don't think it was actually all that clear. Because here's the thing. I even said this to Fenrir in the comment section, and Fenrir posted a whole, here's a timestamp of when everything happened. But I watched those episodes. I watched the episode again, obviously when I'm taking the notes, and also the parts where Fenrir is time coding stuff is just Yuna being a little shit, not him. There's no active communication with anybody. The only hint that he is what did our friends say? He actively alludes to talking to a third party.
Yeah.
Once. But there's no telling what that third party is. It could be another subversive unit within Orb. You know?
Yes. But again, because I put it in my notes. I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Then don't. You can let me
Mhm.
flummox here, and then we'll talk about it when we get to the notes section. He said most of my notes are also the political stuff as well. I'm just saying that Yuna only indicates, like, near the start of an episode about communicating with a third party, but there's no indication to what it is. And I believe that's probably backwards vision, hindsight, if you will.
Yes.
To say, oh, he's heavily influenced by the Atlantic Federation. Obviously, that's not who he must be talking to. But I don't know that. Again, I still think he's being manipulated because, maybe he is. Sorry, I just can't think straight. I don't know what my main argument was from last time to say that he was being manipulated by a third party. And I don't believe that I was 100% saying that he wasn't being manipulated by the Atlantic Federation. I think my main argument was he's being manipulated by his father.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Who may be also manipulated by the Atlantic Federation. I don't know.
I mean, they're clearly in cahoots, right?
Oh, yeah, but I mean, that's because they're, it's a political family situation.
Yeah.
The same way Kigali had her dad, who was just, running the country too, so.
Yeah, but at least Kigali, at least in the very beginning, is like, oh, father, what have you done, right? It's like, she mainly went with what her father said, but reluctantly, while Yuna seems to be clearly like, oh, no, we're in the same page, daddy. So there's at least that, which is not much, but it's something.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying, my final thought here on this is that it's very clear that Yuna is pro-Atlantic Federation. I don't think it's 100% of note that he has some sort of ally on the Atlantic Federation side to which he is communicating. Because his actions are no different to me than somebody who is a worm tongue, for example. That he's like, oh, if I do this shit now, when they do come, I'll be that much higher up the totem pole for somebody who can get shit done for them. All right, well, we also have the board, of course. And this time, you can go ahead and point out to me if I've forgotten anything. Because I don't think I've done that much.
There's not really a lot of new characters that were introduced.
Well, there's character interactions and relationships that could affect things.
We clearly know that the father and son connection, of course.
That's already been there.
Yeah. Well, there's a mention I did not know. Well, I kind of noticed, but I was like, oh, okay. The admiral of the Earth Alliance who said, oh, by the way, I hope that Roanoke's information is
now you're ruining my notes.
Yeah, I put it in one of my notes too. So, yeah. But meaning that
I mean, literally, I have a one-sentence note that's the Orb fleet captain said that they'd see how accurate Roanoke's information on the Minerva really was, which means that the Logos is directly tied to the Atlantic Federation instead of being a side organization like I believe we were thinking they were.
Yeah. Because, and also that he would know who Roanoke is, right? Because it's one thing to say, oh, I hope our intel on the Minerva is accurate. Apropos of nothing, right? Like, okay, I'm a military person. They give me reports. I read them. But he's in the bridge with his subordinates and mentions a specific person that apparently they also would know, right? It's like, oh, you know who this guy is. This is our source, right? It's a big it's literally on the nose. Like, yeah, we know that guy, even if it only by reputation. That's the guy who gave us the information, right? So yeah, they know Neo, and we know. And then of course we see a shot of Neo when Jibril is going like, we have to change plans again.
Yeah.
I hope that Jibril doesn't get killed. He is somebody who just deserves to be beat down and just strapped to a cross somewhere.
I don't know what it is with the show and you.
This is a brutal show. People get decapitated, they get blown up. I just accepted it, and I said, "This is how things are gonna go." You know, this is not a show that forgives or forgets.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know any other show that you're like rallying for people getting beaten in the streets or anything.
I don't know. It's this show just brings the best in me, I guess.
The best, okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? I mean, we're still talking about the board.
Yeah, no, I think that's the two things I remember off the top of my head. Because I guess Whatfield. Well, you already established that one that she's linked to Mura. Um, and by reputation, I think he's linked also to the Minerva because he says on Whatfield, and it's like, oh, you're
Yeah, he
that
talks
guy.
to her. I guess technically I could put a green line there.
Yeah. Because he's like, who's this? I'm not going to take.
Well, technically, he doesn't say this is Waltfield. He says, I'm sending a message from Waltfield, implying that I'm not Waltfield. He doesn't want to identify himself, given that he has a whole code name situation going on.
Yeah, but it's pretty thick, like, oh, no, let me just pull this name out of the hat, which I just happen to know, who's totally not me.
It's not this out of nowhere.
Person. Yeah, I know, because he was an important person in Zaft and later on the Three Ship Alliance, but I guess he still is in the Three Ship Alliance. I guess that's still a thing.
I mean, we don't. Where is the Archangel?
Yeah, we don't
know.
It's
not a three-ship alliance with no ships.
And although didn't the Archangel get blown? No, it survived the war, if I remember correctly.
Your confidence in the situation is.
I guess I'm trying to remember the whole battle. I know one of the ships got destroyed. No, yeah, it survived. The Archangel survived.
Yeah, the Dominion got destroyed. Remember?
Yeah,
with Batgirl and Murta.
Yeah, and that's why Mula Flaga, bought it in order so that the Archangel could survive. Like, I'll parry this being for my girlfriend, who I was who was a substitute for his first day boyfriend. And now Whatfield, poor Whatfield is also gonna die horribly. Oh my god.
Well, you're the only one that thinks they're in that kind of relationship. I don't think they are.
I think they are.
Why? Whatfield has his own ex-girlfriend that died too.
Oh, there you go. But she's dead, right? So two people who are lonely, who have dead, one of them has a track record of just jumping in with next guy who's like, well, my ex-boyfriend died. Well, he's my ex-boyfriend because he's dead. So I'll get this new boyfriend who's dead. Hey, you're sleeping in the same house I'm sleeping. What the hell?
You got a rather poor view of some of these characters.
I mean, I'm not saying they do anything wrong. It's fine. Just that she has that kind of track record.
I don't know. You're kind of calling her a floozy.
No,
she has a habit of just sleeping with the next random guy that happens to be in the same house as her. Those are your words.
It's just kind of. No, I think actually they might be some kind of relationship, but I wouldn't blame her for not doing that. And I think he's the kind of guy who's like, sure.
Based on what? What element of Waltfield has told you that he's that kind of guy?
He's such a laid back kind of character that I think is like, yeah, I don't mind the company.
I just don't understand your reads on either of these characters.
Are you saying that I'm wrong?
I'm saying I think you are. I wouldn't know.
Okay, let's see.
I know as much about the show as you do, in that I'm currently watching it with you.
Well, let's see if the show proves me wrong. Please, in the comments, do not. Don't. I mean,
it's going to be so far in the future. We'll be watching a different show by the time they tell us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unless you have a Patreon.
You mean where I just read 2 comments from, and I said
from the last episode,
Patreon.
Yeah. Those could actually spoil it, yeah.
All right. Well, if you don't notice anything else from the board, like the fact that Durka and Yazik are now connected to Atherin.
But they were always connected to Atherin.
No, they weren't.
I guess they're reconnected, I guess.
They weren't always connected. This is a brand new board. They weren't connected to them. You're looking down here, I guess, which isn't the show that we're... Yeah.
And Mir, well, we're already connected Mir. Campbell, the fake Lacus. I'm gonna keep calling her the fake Lacus.
Why? Mirror is literally less words.
Yeah, but I think it shows her place in things.
Yeah. I don't know why. You're just mean to a bunch of these characters for no reason. Mirror is a good girl. There's no reason to think otherwise right now.
I have notes about that.
I'm assuming you have a lot more notes. I'm going to preface the fact before we get into the notes section that I took my notes at 2 a.m. because I was in a lot of pain and I was like, I'm not getting to sleep. I might as well use this time effectively.
I only have like 14 notes. I don't think there's that many.
Well, it's more than me. I just deleted one though because we went over the captain of the Earth Alliance ship. Or I guess it's Atlantic Federation now.
Atlantic Federation, yeah.
Oh, turns out I have 11 notes, so I guess not as few as I thought. Anyway, I guess I should go first since I have less than you.
Go ahead.
Or should you go first since you have... Well, you should go first. You have more than me. That means you'll burn out fast after.
Yeah. This is just a random comment. The first thing that I noticed, which I already said, but it was just kind of funny. Jibril didn't take to his plan falling apart. Well, now did he? Because at first he was in the last episode, it's like, and it's like now it's like throwing bottles, and the cat is running around like oh, this is we have to really go and we can't tolerate them in the space, and the other whoever they're talking to is like, yeah, you done fucked up. We got to blame somebody. Might as well blame you. It's like, no, like we can't blame me. We have to go back to the original plan. We're gonna win. And when get shut up, Neo, Roanoke, and his team, like I guess preparing for something, which begs the question: what was the original plan? I guess the original plan was to attack and steal the Gundams, and that would set the war off. But that didn't work.
They had a large number of plans, remember? Because they have we talked about all the different plans. Not contingencies, plans.
Plans, yeah. Plans within plans, yeah.
Sorry, the fact that you started with Lord Jibril had me concerned that maybe all of our notes are just going to be the same.
Probably.
Well, no, because my first one is, so Lord Jibril's reason for not being able to back down against the coordinators is exactly the same argument that Azrael used for not backing down in exactly the same situation. They attacked with nukes, Zaft used some strange super weapon to destroy them. They claim that they can't back down so long as Zaft has super weapons like that, possibly pointed at Earth. The fight continues. It's exactly the same thing. Just now Lord Jibril saying it instead of Azrael.
Yeah. Now, these are not exactly in the order that I watched them. So there was like, oh, okay, I remember this. Like, they're within the episode, but not it. So if you guys are watching, it's like, wait a minute, but that happened after this. Yeah, this is just the way I ordered them up. I put them more into episodes to kind of make them more self-contained, so I don't stray too far ahead, hopefully. So my second name, and I'm going to be talking about this character a lot during these notes. Mostly
going to guess Yuna.
Focus. Nope. Although, yeah, we'll talk about Yuna. Nope.
Shin.
So I'm gonna go with a note, unless you want to take a third guess.
I just did. I said Shin.
Yeah, no, not Shin either.
So let's say then I know that our notes are going to be different because I think those are the three big ones for me.
Yeah. Although Durandal speaks of defensive deployments, his last words are on the subject. I only hope that the weapons we hold in our hands will be used to end all battles. I very much that will be all that it takes. And it's again, I think it feeds into my theory that he believes that he can be the ultimate peacemaker, if it means even by force, right? That, we have these weapons and we have to use them to end battles, right? But there's a comment about how he's using them, which effectively wouldn't end the battles, at least in a conventional sense, right? Which is, he's trying to play both sides, and I'm very suspicious.
I mean, to be fair, the graveyards are filled with dead battles, right?
Yeah. Or filled with weapons as well.
Well,
battlefields are filled with weapons.
If you believe that the opening of Deadpool versus Wolverine, then yes, graveyards are filled with weapons. I don't know, side comment to your note is that I have to wonder if the SAFTA members that we see after that scene the ones that are like chastising the only for self-defense comments, if those might be the Zala faction people.
I don't
kind
read
of
them as a Zala faction, actually.
Kind of
More
a
like...
Marvel situation where Hydra is infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D., that the zaft, the Zala faction people are just in the mix.
I didn't read it like that, because they were more like, yeah, this is not going to work, rather than, yeah, we got to go and do more. We got to, we got to eliminate.
You wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't have to say that, we got to do more.
Well, that's what everybody who was associated with Blue Cosmos basically says. Like, oh, no, we got to, Blue Earth and all that. Well,
two different racist groups don't have to be the same, especially when they're racist against each other.
And in fact,
to be fair, though, I gotta say, to be fair, the Zala faction might not be racist. They're not saying we gotta... Well, are they saying we gotta kill all those naturals? Because it feels like they just want to destroy the entire fucking other faction. And it's not about... Because theirs is... They killed this or that, right? Julie died in Alaska, that sort of thing. They're not like, those fucking naturals. They're like, they killed somebody I cared about. Whereas the coordinators are always like, I'm sorry, not coordinators. The Blue Cosmos is always those fucking coordinators. It's not... The Blue Cosmos guys never say, like, oh, they killed Timmy,
Yeah, but one of the things that the commander says is it will take some time for the hatred of naturals to abate. Like, he's like, listen, this is going to have to play itself out.
There's a flip side to every pancake.
Yeah.
Right? It could take some time for the hatred of naturals to abate, so we better handle it now.
Yeah, but the way I read it was, well, I understood it was like, because they later were talking about it's going to take some time, and then he's hoping that we can negotiate and all that. I mean, that's what he's reading. Like, he's like,
not read that way. It's not the words he said, though.
Yeah, but he said that as in he's like,
when read side by side with, like, who says that the fires of war can turn into an inferno? Somebody says it in these two episodes. When they're trying to convince Kigali. I think it might have been
Yuna's the one.
Yeah, because that's what they're saying, that this little brush fire thing could turn into something huge. You can't control a fire.
Huge,
yeah, you can't control a fire once it started. That commentary from the admiral, whatever the fuck he is, the National Defense Committee, and Yuna's comment back to back kind of make it feel more ominous to me. Also, just the way that they focused on the National Defense Committee for no reason. We've never looked at them before, and it's like, we haven't seen the Zala faction in a while. So, just putting doubt in my head. Not doubt in my head, suspicion, I guess. Would you please give us a break from your childish complaints? Sorry, I think I'm coming around to your side of things about Yuna. That line really pissed me off on hearing it again when I'm just taking notes. And since I take my notes with the dub, he sounds so much more pompous in English. Granted, I'm still not needlessly calling for him to get killed or anything, but if Kakali just walked up and popped him in the jaw, I wouldn't be asking why.
Well, I'm going to give you my note, because he's the second person I really talk a lot about, but not, the most.
Literally, I'm looking at my notes section, and the next two notes I have, paragraphs of notes, both start with Yuna. So
I'm going to answer with my own note. Yuna gaslighting Kigali at the behest of his father is what really makes him a scumbag in my eyes. His reasoning might be sound, but ultimately it is self-serving. It isn't. It sounds that way. It is self-serving. He emphasizes his powerlessness, that he's a child, that you overburden with and her age, instead of helping her to find a way to resolve the issues at hand, thus exacerbating her lack of confidence and further eroding her leadership.
Well, I mean, his main thing is, deriding her in the middle of the thing, and then telling her that I'm here to help you.
Yeah, leave it to me, basically. Don't worry your little head. Your little head, lady. Little miss.
Well, no, because he said I have to voice my concerns when we're out there, but when I'm out here, I can be your friend or your soon-to-be husband. All right, but you didn't have to call me a fucking child. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
It's like being personally insulting and then coming back. So, are we going to Denny's for dinner, or what's going on?
Yeah. I know I called you a bitch in that room, but really, I'm just hungry right now. So, McDonald's?
Oh man, you've seen the show Severance, right?
Yes.
Where you leave, for the audience, where you leave the building and you don't remember the work that you did inside. Man, Severance for politicians. Be fucking amazing. You can't bribe them on the inside because they don't know what the fuck's going on. So, yeah, man. Sorry, that'd just be fucking amazing. Just thinking about I've changed society with some brain surgery.
Yeah.
Brain surgery for everyone. Good news, everyone. I am already in my pajamas. Sorry, this blood pressure medicine is fucking me up today.
Oh, boy. So
All
go
right.
ahead. What's your next?
Yuna asks if they should call on Kigali's faraway friends in the plants and isolate them from every other nation of Earth. If Japan really is Orb, like we both independently came up with, then Orb is about 10 kilometers from the Atlantic Federation, but only 7 kilometers from the nearest zaft base. Forgetting for the moment that you could always give zaft some land to make a base closer in your territory. Plus, they always seem to have a space advantage, which typically allows them the ability to land troops wherever they need them. Zaft makes for a pretty effective ally on paper. Plus, they haven't previously betrayed you like the Atlantic Federation has.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 110% of that, yeah.
But again, it's mostly to the Yuna's argument of your faraway friends of Zaft. It's like, they're closer than the Atlantic Federation is.
And my note goes into that as well. Kind of follow up, because this note says, I doubt Orb will be kept out of fighting for long, since the opening battles have devastated the Northern Alliance forces, both at sea and in space. Meaning that the longer the fighting goes on, if you have an alliance, they're going to say, listen, we need your troops. You have high technology. You have, mobile suits. You have a fleet. We just lost. Well, in the episode, they're about to lose a fleet, right? We need reinforcements. We can wait to train and equip them and whatever, or you can just give us yours.
I don't remember if I have it in a note or not, but they only lost half of their fleet.
Still, they, literally, there's a fleet in front of them. Like, hey, you're using this fleet. Why don't you just cross your own borders and join us in the fight, right?
Because they haven't officially signed the thing yet.
Yeah, but if they do, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I just don't think I have much I can say to add to. Yuna tries to make a humanitarian argument, implying that Orb's peace and security is less important than helping those crying out for help due to the recent events. But you know what? Fuck that. The first duty of a nation's government should be the peace and security of its people. Failing that, then it isn't doing its job. Kigali gets baited into the argument far too easily when she yells out no, saying that they shouldn't prioritize themselves over the rest of the world. It's exactly what they should be doing. Send all the aid you can and are willing to send to those that need it, but focus on the best interests of your people first and foremost.
I mean, as a government, yeah, that's what you do. Definitely.
Well, that's what I'm saying. In the series of when you were saying that Yuna's gaslighting her, when he's leading her on in the middle of the argument where he calls her a child, that's where he gets her to keep disagreeing with him. He basically pulls the yes I am, no I'm not, yes I am, and you say no I am. You mess them up in the middle where he says, are you saying that we should prioritize ourselves over all the people crying in the world? She goes, no, and it's like, no, yes is the answer. Yes, we should. I don't represent the rest of the world. The rest of the world didn't put me in charge of their government. I'm in charge here.
Okay, you can say, I'm in charge here, and the only way we can help those people, which is kind of what Yuna tries to, turn it around again, is by securing Orb and our peace and be a place where people can feel safe, and then we can help other people. Because
how about we just take some money out of the budget and give it to some Doctors Without Borders or some humanitarian relief agencies, and They can do whatever the fuck they're already set up to do. In the meantime, our own people are now at threat to this, very aggressive outside force that we should probably be worried about and not well, I have another argument here. I actually have two arguments, one for one side, one for the other. So, you next.
Yeah. So, okay, what's my next? This one is, again, back to Durandal. It's something I noticed in a rewatch, because I did mention it when we were watching it, but I didn't pay a lot of attention. The chessboard on Durandal's desk has very few pawns on it, and only key pieces are left on the white side, which we see the bishop. We see.
I appreciate we both were looking at his chessboard, because I was trying to figure out, there's only very few black pieces. There's a lot of white pieces. Which one is supposed to represent Zaft in this visual metaphor that we're supposed to be implied?
The way I saw that because we concentrate on the crystal clear, which are the white side, I believe we see the bishop. No, we see the rook, the king, and the queen.
I will say
we see some black pawns, but we don't see anything.
I appreciate that you like really looked into it, because the first thing I did, again, I saw how many pieces both sides had. I didn't try to break down what the pieces were, because I was also thinking, let me see what the layout of the board is, see who's winning and what the next couple of moves would be. But then it pans back so far, I couldn't fucking figure it out. Obviously, you were able to, because you made out what the pieces were. But for me, it was just like, there's a lot more white pieces than black pieces then.
But it looked like a lot of them have been taken out. No, I actually saw it as having very few pieces, because we close in on the white side, and that's the pieces we see. So we see a lot of empty squares. My guess is that the symbol is that from Durandal's point of view, if he's playing the white side, he's winning, right? That there's very few pawns to sacrifice anymore, and he's just ready to go. Unless he actually is on the black side, and he still has pawns to play, and the other side is exposed.
Well, it's from when the camera pans back and he's like talking to people in the room. You can still see the chessboard on the desk, and you can see it's the white pieces are on both sides of the board and kind of surrounding the black pieces. So I'd assume that he thinks he's the black pieces, and that the plants are out in space, isolated from everything else, and they're essentially surrounded. Especially if you think about the fact that the last Alliance attack that literally came from all directions.
Yeah. But at the same time, he has more pawns to play with if he's the black side, while the white side doesn't have many.
And we all know what the benefit of pawns are.
They're sacrificial.
Well, you and me, I'm not working for your evil agency. You should work for mine, because I was going to say the benefit of pawns is that they can become any piece you need them to be. You get a pawn to the other side of the board, fucking becomes a queen. I don't sacrifice pawns. I put them into positions to take out bigger pieces. God, don't work for lessons.
Well, doesn't mean I will consider you a pawn.
Well, yeah, nobody considers themselves a pawn. And you're not going to tell me out loud that you think I'm a pawn. Anyway. Alright, here's my other side argument. I will say that at least Unato, Yuna's dad, makes the logical counterpoint that standing against the Atlantic Federation could be seen to antagonize them. Essentially, as the start of the argument was about how aggressive the Atlantic Federation is, and that bending to their will would allow Orb to survive as a nation. Yuna plays a game of manipulation on Kigali that works, because he knows how quick she reflexively tries to argue for what the right thing is in any given moment, which gets under her skin and twists words around on her. Inato basically says, my previous argument about the citizens of the country coming first, priority, but he puts them even above the pride of the nation, or doing what is right, which is a much tougher argument to have. As a leader, it would seem like Kigali cannot make the argument that standing up to the Atlantic Federation on their own, dragging her people into a battle that they already lost once, would be the better choice than to stand on moral and ethical grounds at the cost of their people's lives. She's seen what comes of that, and the moment she could even think about forgetting, Shin reminded her of it.
Pretty
So
much.
that is the other half where Unatu says, if we take the knee, we can secure the safety of our people, regardless of the ethics, of the morals, of doing what's right. We should focus on keeping our people alive and not fighting the Atlantic Federation.
That actually reminds me something. I'll leave because I just reminded something about whether or not Juna, what he knows and who's he talking to, but I leave it to the next episode when I go to those notes. Even though I didn't write that note because I remember it from an earlier episode. Like, okay. Well, I'll put
That's
a
what
pin
I'm
on
saying, though. From the Kigali to not Kigali argument, Yuna is the piece of shit who's not arguing any logic whatsoever. But
yeah, he's a troll logic. Yeah, he's doing
but
the troll
his
logic
dad,
thing.
after Yuna has already fucked Kigali up, like with the whole mincing of words, Natu actually gives the logical argument of, again, our pride isn't worth the lives of our people. Because he literally says bend to them. It's like, yeah, that's true. That's a harder argument because you then have to, as a leader, have to say, no, we should lay down our lives to do the right thing, and that's that's gonna cost you your position, I think.
At the very least, or your nation.
Well,
entirely.
Here's the thing: is that you can make that decision as a leader, but it's still up to your people to agree with it. Like, they can decide, no, we don't want her as the leader anymore. She's getting us all killed, right? That's also the trigger that Unatu would possibly take to push her out of power and take over himself. But again, it's very debatable if the right thing is the right thing to do. Because you can know what the right thing is, but the right thing might not be the right thing for your people, even though it is morally and ethically the right thing. The children being born in your hospitals aren't going to appreciate you doing the right thing.
Yeah. Pretty much.
That's why I appreciate Unatu far more than I do Yunta.
Yeah,
Yuna, sorry. I don't know, I'm just making up words. Brain. Brain.
He does. Yeah. So I'll go to my next note. Back to the Durandal here. Pairing Arthur with his former comrades is yet another way for Durandal to convince him to side with him, especially when Yasek tells it. Yasek.
My boy.
Tells him that he's alive because Durandal interceded on his behalf. In other words, hey, I'm here. I got told that I have to serve as your bodyguard, dude. Well, now I'm a very important person. I'm a commander of fleets. I think he's either the commander of the super carrier or the Gundams on it. Him and
I don't think he's the commander of that. No, he just commands a unit.
Yeah,
same way that Atherin used to, because they all used to be part of Atherin's squad.
Yeah,
like when Rao had to go off and do something, he put Atherin in charge, and they were all part of Atherin's squad.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. You're giving him an obnoxious Californian accent, and I think you're doing that because you don't like the character. Yasek is fucking fine. I mean, you don't like what he did in the past, but if we just subtract the element of the first season and just look at him for what he's doing here now in this show, it's fine.
No, I mean, what he's doing now, it's like, but basically he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm here because Durandal spoke up for me, right?
Durandal defended a generation against the things that they were ordered to do by a former leader, and said if we blamed them and punished them, then who would lead us to the next generation? Which, one, is a very serious problem for the Coordinator Society that has a whole birth rate issue, but also from Yasek's point of view, it's like, this is the man that saved us from ourselves, and that's why I'm still wearing the uniform to defend this place that saved me, essentially.
Which is, again, goes to that idea of, hey, remember your own comrades are still around, and they kind of owe me, right? Regardless of how correct Durandal's point is, there still is the effect of, like, I'm here talking to you because he interceded in our behalf, right? You went off to Orb to save yourself, change your name. He didn't say that, but kind of implied it, like, well, what's Orb going to do, right? What are you going to do? And that kind of helps him.
I think he's saying there might be an element of what you're saying there, but I think if you look at their character relationships, I know I just did the whole subtract season 1 thing, but that's only because I'm trying to subtract your I hate this character, I hope he dies from your Californian accent.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean, because if you look at their character relationships, this is less of your implication, I feel like, and more of the development of their relationship as characters from season 1. Because Yazik was very antagonistic towards Athrun, even telling Durka, which is funny because they're here together, Durka, that we should take over this group when Athrun went missing after that fight. And then the whole change that comes near the end of season 1, where Yazik is like trying to figure out why Durka is changing sides and warning Athrun about getting out of the way of the blast and everything, and that he's coming around on all of this stuff. And now here he is back again, seeing Athrun for the first time in forever, because apparently Athrun just fucked off to Orb and didn't talk to anybody. Because as he says, I don't come here very often anymore. So the first thing I want to do is visit the graves of all of our dead friends. And that's when he just Yazik just shuts the fuck up, because it's like, yeah, that's important. We should do that. Because it's not just Athrun that suffered with Nicole's death. They all fucking suffered.
But here's the thing. All that conversation wouldn't have happened. That element is also important. So, things can have multiple levels. But the fact that they come together is because Durandal was the person, because he says, oh, somebody very important must be watching out for you while they're in the elevator. And the first person that Arthur thinks about is Durandal. Like, literally, we see Randall's face, right?
Well, we know Durandal really was putting Athrun into that position, as per the end of the last episode that we watched. But also, who better to bodyguard him than literally his former 2 teammates?
Yeah. But also knowing what happens in the next episode at the very end.
Well, I mean, not even that. If Athrun is a member of Orb at this point, and Orb is allying with the Atlantic Alliance or Atlantic Federation. Again, the fact that they changed from Alliance to Federation is fucking me up.
Yeah.
That he is actively an enemy figure. I mean, until then he puts on the zaft uniform, but until then you don't know. So the bodyguards aren't just to protect him from the outside. It might possibly also be to protect us from him. Because we all know what Athrun really is. That was yours, wasn't it? Yeah, I forgot. So, I scoured all over to try and figure out what the song was that I was trying to point out to you before that I thought sounded like Porti Volare. And it's called Shinjiriba Koso, or If You Believe. And I couldn't find any other context or information about the piece other than that.
It's a nice, very poignant song. They keep using it, so that's just means something.
Again, it's my difficulty when it comes to, well, 2 difficulties. One is obviously I don't really hear anything when I'm watching with you in the reaction segment. But 2 is that I really like the OST more than I do the opening and endings, because the opening and endings are your kind of music, which is like electronica or some sort of mix. Yeah. Whereas the OST is filled with just classical.
Oh, I do like this song, by the way. In fact, when I was watching it again, I was like, oh, that's the song. And I remember
I'm not saying you dislike it. I'm just saying that my biggest problem is with me, because I actively don't like a lot of electronica. I don't know. I do like electronica. I don't like the first opening to the very first seed. First season, I have told you before, where it starts off with classical and then just goes hard into electronica for some reason. I don't like the dissonance there. Again, it'd be like starting off Porti Volare and then going hard into an Ozzy Osbourne song. I'd be like, what? I
wouldn't put it past Ozzy Osbourne doing it, but
just the build up of expectation. Like if you started hearing I don't know, Rhythm Emotion, and then Bluegrass Gospel started playing.
Yeah.
Right? You're set up for one song, and then you just aren't in the right emotional space to pick up what the fuck just happened to you. And I feel like that's what a lot of the openings are. They're good on their own. I'm not saying they're bad. I don't specifically dislike any of them, except for maybe the first one. First one I don't even think is good on its own. So,
well, I do like it. It's not Impulse; it's Ignite, which is the opening.
Really, because you've mentioned Impulse to me on your own that you really liked Impulse.
No, because I'm confusing the names. I'm confusing the name of the Gundam, which is Impulse. The name of the song is Ignite. It's by TM Revolution.
I really wish I hadn't closed it because I had the whole SoundCloud.
Yeah, OST?
Had the whole SoundCloud, to the first OST thing.
Yeah.
I was pretty sure that one of them was called Impulse. So
it could be. I mean, we talk about the first season, but this season, the opening song so far has been it's by TM Revolution.
No, I'm talking about second season because remember I was looking for my song that I was just talking about.
TM Revolution is the also one that made one of my also favorite songs from a show that I actually didn't watch, and we're not going to for reasons that I'm not gonna go back here. But it's called Heart of Sword or Heart of the Sword, which is from the Ryugu Senkai. The swordsman that fought with the reverse side of the sword. It had the X on it.
Oh, you mean the pedophile?
Yeah. But this guy is just a song-writer of that song. No, hopefully he had nothing to do with that. But I do like that song, which is, it was a theme too. It's slower paced, but I really liked it anyway. It's like the and I was like, oh, it's like he sounded familiar, even though he's singing in Japanese. He sounded familiar, and then I was searching on YouTube. It's like, oh, wait a minute, he has his own channel, and one of the songs that comes up is like, oh, of course, that's one of the reasons why I like it. So yeah.
As I said, don't often get to talk about the music that I like in these shows because I don't hear them the first time, and when you bring them up, obviously I don't hear them either. But
and by the way, when I say Heart of Sword, I'm talking about the English translation of the Japanese title. I'm sure there might be a slight difference to it.
That's why I read both of them out right there too.
Yeah, just in case. So let me go. Now we go to chapter 12 or phase 12, Blood in the Water. Yuna being, and these are kind of off. Like I said, these are really ones that are kind of off sequence a little bit. Yuna being the command center and giving the orders shows that for all intents and purposes, he has displaced Kigali. Yes, in fact, Kigali gets a phone call. It's like, Yuna's there? What the hell is he doing there? She rushes to the...
Well, she calls. She doesn't get a phone call.
She calls. It's like, what the hell is he... And when she arrives, everybody salutes her. But for all intents and purposes, everything that happens is what Yuna wanted to happen.
I don't think she's supplanted. I think if she had made a call, she could have stopped everything. Could actually happen this episode. Conceivably will happen this episode because otherwise Shin is going to do his promise of destroying this country himself. But I think that's why Yuna's yelling at her. That's his way of putting his authority over her, manipulating her, because otherwise I think he recognizes that if she wanted to, she could. So he's got to make her feel like a child in order to lean on him. He's psychologically manipulating her into relying on him, even though she has the authority and that she is right.
Which I also reminds me of the fact that he moved their marriage forward. It's like, oh, let's get married right now, which was at the end of not this episode, but the last episode before this. Like, oh, by the way, remember that you're my fiance. Let's get married now. Like,
I mean, it could also be that the society is patriarchal, so that he's pushing for the wedding, so that he will remove the threat of her authority.
So what's your next note?
Just something I wanted to point out. Bart on communications says that he's getting severe interference and can't reach Carpentaria, even by laser. Well, a number of things about that. Assuming that we are talking about point-to-point laser communications, you are in Japan, and Carpentaria is in Australia, so well over the horizon, thus blocking a direct path for any laser transmission. And I think this is the more pressing issue of it all. As the camera pans back, we see that Minerva is still inside a building. I'm not even sure if their communications are being blocked, or if Bart is just an idiot.
I mean, I don't know. This is the future, so I guess radio communications are.
He says laser transmission.
Yeah. Yeah, so
What,
that's not gonna work.
sir? Laser pointed at a wall. Sir, I can't communicate with them with the laser.
And then they catch up. They're like,
I'm saying it's very dumb. It's just from
yeah.
the even he says even by laser. It's like you're in Japan and that base is in Australia.
I guess he's a flat earther. He's a flat earther that was born in space. That's the thing. It's like I am of the superior coordinator race, born in space, but the Earth is still flat.
Man, that would be amazing for one of these Gundam shows. We'll literally do a flat Earth, but I mean you couldn't because it wouldn't fucking work. But
that would make for that would be a reimagining of G Gundam. That actually would make even more sense for G Gundam.
I mean, it would be a Gundam / Bubblegum Crisis. You know, when they go off the edge of the city and they see the whole city is on the back of three elephants that are standing on top of a turtle and just floating in space.
That's not Bubblegum Crisis.
Yeah, I think it is.
No, Bubblegum Crisis is mechs and cyberpunk, and yeah, just because he has bubblegum in the title doesn't mean.
Well, then what am I talking about then? If you're so smart,
I think you might be talking about something else. I think you may be talking about either Lower Decks or something else, but no. This
Lower Decks. No, I'm talking about anime.
Yeah, this world didn't have an anime either, so it's not Bubblegum Crisis.
I'm pretty sure it's Bubblegum Crisis. Here's the problem: is that there are so many anime that have alternative versions that we might be talking about the same show and different things.
There's 2 versions of Bubblegum Crisis, and there was AD Police, and I don't know if there was anything else.
Yeah, here's the problem: is I watched this back in mid '90s, early '90s. No, it had to have been late '90s actually.
It could be Tank Police.
No, this is a bunch of kids that go to school, and then one day everyone just vanished from the town.
That is not Bubblegum.
And they're just trying. Stop telling me what it isn't if you're not going to tell me what it is. And
I don't know.
And they're just surviving this group of kids in this town where nobody is, and then one of them builds a little plane sort of thing, and they go flying into plane, and then they just fly off the edge of the town, and they just in space, and it's just giant elephant holding the city up on its back. Something about dreams, I think. Oh. Yeah, you might have gotten me on this one. What the fuck am I thinking about? Because it's a pretty cool anime. Everyone that's missing is also turned into statues underneath, holding the town up on top of the back of the elephant.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's what the fuck is going on? That's what you say. It's weird. It's what's going on here? You know what? This is for the comment section. If you know what I'm talking about, tell me, and I will react to the movie, so it'll be on the channel. So if this ever fucking happens again, I'll know, and I can just go, hey, look at the YouTube thing. So, tell me, comment section, what's the fucking movie I'm talking about? It'll go right there next to Galaxy Express 999, me reliving my anime roots.
So your next point was?
I think that was mine, wasn't it?
Okay. Well, then I go
No, that was yours. Sorry, that was yours where you're saying that Kigali lost her authority. Yeah, and I was arguing that UNIT did, somehow getting 2 elephants. So,
yeah.
It's pretty clear that the Zamzaza is basically Seed's answer to Big Zom. Its claws, its reflective beam field, all it lacked was the badass leader we got in Mobile Suit Gundam to pilot it. It even gets taken out by a beam saber.
They're only claws, they're heat claws.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I know it is, but I'm just pointing out that it does all the same things that Big Zom did.
I do have a note about that, but following on my point about Yuna, furthermore, the fact that he alerted Yuna, alerted the Alliance to the presence of the Minerva in time for them to position naval forces to intercept and had another force ready to box them in, means that he never intended peace to begin with. If he wanted peace, he would have merely let them leave instead of serving the Minerva to the Alliance on a plate. Now, I know they say in fact, that's what the captain says. Oh, we're being given as a gift to the Alliance, right? even though the treaty hasn't been signed yet. And it reminds me of what Jibril was talking to the president about when he's like, "Oh, you're worried about Orb," which is the kind of taking the pin of that thing that said earlier. And Jibril says, "Don't worry about it. They're a pitiful little nation," meaning, which is something I suspected, that the people that, and I think that's what the commentator earlier said on, he was talking to was either Jibril, Lord Jibril, or someone in that aspect of it, right? So my guess is Jibril says, I have everything under control because I have, these people handling Orb, so it doesn't matter. They're just going to side with us anyway, right? Which seems to be that's what's happening.
Well, I mean, my first comment here would be about the fact that you keep mentioning peace, and it wouldn't be peace because technically they'd be in the same war against zaft. So even if they had signed the papers, whatever the fuck I'm talking about, even if they had signed the treaty, they would still be obligated, I think, to attack the Minerva.
Yeah, no, but I'm not okay. No, I mean talking in peace about maintaining Orb under peace, right? Oh, we want to, because that's what the argument is like. Oh, we have to side with the Federation because they're going to take us. They're going to attack us, whatever. But the idea was
the argument is that they had to side with the Federation because the Federation is super aggressive, and that's the higher threat. Because for some reason they think the Federation is closer to them. It's technically they're everywhere, but so is zaft. I don't know. Whatever. It's a fucking weird argument. That they're super aggressive, but at the same time, if you cowtail to them, that if they say, hey, attack this zaft shit that's close to you, you're going to, because you've already cowtailed to their aggressiveness once before. So, same thing that Yuna is basically saying, is that we have to attack them, because they're there.
Yeah, but he set up this trap, right? Because it would have taken time for naval forces to arrive in time.
Right, I'm not debating that. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
So, if I don't bring it up, just assume that I agree with you. I'm just saying that they're not at peace because they're siding with the side that's already attacking zaft. So, the fact that they are going to probably be at war too. They're not going to be neutral in this. All right, my next one. Someone you've already brought up. The guy commanding the Orb fleet last episode, I called out as possibly being an older Tilling from the first season. It's pretty clear that it's Todaka, the guy that came to Shin's aid when his family died. Also someone that I think will be an ally going forwards. He calls out the hypocrisy and ingratitude of what they are doing to the Minerva, going so far as to disobey orders to fire a warning shot to the ship rather than attacking it, as ordered. Sir, those aren't our orders. So what? I'm not a politician.
Which there's a note that goes right to that point as well, right? Because you were saying, oh, Shin should destroy the Orb forces, and I was trying to say, yeah, but they were not actually.
Anger doesn't follow logic. I think we had a whole huge discussion about that on the subject of blame. Previous episodes or previous season, I can't remember.
And the movies, and
Yeah.
what Gali's father said about no matter how peaceful I want to be, if somebody hurt you or killed you, I would want to get revenge.
No, I mean between us. Yeah. We had a conversation about blame and how it doesn't follow logic and who would blame who, but I don't remember where that conversation was pointed.
No.
So, I am just angry at what has happened here, and I want Shin to make everyone pay for what they've done. And to be fair to what you're saying, sorry, I'm just really making sure. No, I've got a note about it. I'm going to hold off on what I'm about to say.
Okay. Now something that happened because we do get in fact, this is the second time that Kira talks in this season. The first time is when he's in front of the tomb, right? The memorial. And now he's being quiet all the time. But in that scene, he starts seeing visions of Athron and other people like, oh, people are suffering again, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't use the word suffering. So that led me like, does Kira's super coordinator powers allow him to see beyond the horizon? Right? because we don't see explosions, anything in the horizon. He's not seeing.
We have
He's
before.
just,
He's in the same place
Yeah.
that he's seen those explosions. Because
yeah,
remember, that's the same beach that he watched the nukes going off in space.
yeah, but he's not in that particular shot. He's not looking, and we don't have establishment shot where he's seeing explosions, and this is like, oh, there's another battle or whatever. He's just kind of looking out, like, and seeing, Shin's face and the other pilots, and like, is he like watching, like telepathically, doing
Who
a
knows?
la-la
Maybe he's a
thing?
fucking new
Yeah.
type. Maybe he's a coordinator and a new type.
Yeah, he has the Lala gene.
I have no idea. It's
Yeah.
either he's doing something that nobody else in the show has done before, which is, that's so Kira, or or it's just like a narrative, like a visual
Device,
thing
yeah.
of these are things he's thinking about.
Mhm.
But then again, there's scenes that he hasn't been present for, so
Yeah, they're literally of the battle that's happening, either just happened.
but
or
then
it's
again,
happening
that
well.
could just be money saving. We're just gonna use the images we've already drawn and put a semi-transparency on them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I am up to here with it.
Go ahead.
I think last episode really proved the Impulse Gundam's benefits that I was mocking in earlier episodes. That increased complexity that I said would be its undoing really does a good job of addressing the battleground specialties, like replacing damaged parts on the fly or bringing different combat systems as the need arises. Essentially, it's a better version of all the mid-flight docking conversions that the RX-78-2 does, as far as we've currently seen in Mobile Suit Gundam. And the thought that keeps coming into my head, I didn't write it down in the notes, is essentially everything that fucking Iron Man does as the MCU goes on. Like the Hulk crushes his arm and just calls in another arm.
And also the fact that they can
Power.
repower, the Gundam
Neutronium beam or whatever it was called.
Yeah. So that was like, oh, that's convenient. The range, we don't know, but
Was it Neutronium beam? That doesn't sound right.
the neutronium beam is a cannon.
No, it's the same name that we call like heavy water when we're using it for like energy production, and I just can't remember what the word is.
That is neutronium.
Deutronium.
Yeah, deutronium.
Well, it's heavy water. Is it H2O2? Is that deutronium?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's how I remembered it, because also use it in other sci-fi for power generation things.
Yeah.
Even though it's a real technology too. So
yeah. How you can get into beam form to do that, I don't know, but that's
maybe they're just calling it from the energy generator. Also, the fact that they're sitting on the water, maybe they're actually using seawater to power a deutronium generator. This doesn't apply to, I think, any of my notes, but we're talking about it now, and it sparked in my head. The fact that Shin gets so fucking angry that he goes into the seed mode, but it's not just anger. This is the counter to him going buck wild on the Orb Fleet, is that he's not like in Berserk mode. He's making active calls that require incredible amounts of intelligence about what's needed, when, where, pre-planning about what he intends to do with it. He's not just actively going crazy with anger. He is making calls. So there's an added level to his whole seed thing.
Yeah. We already talked about this, but there's a little aspect of it I want to remind viewers, which is links to what players. Yeah.
Well, we wrote your character sheets. We're about to get into it.
From the first season of the show as well, which is what to happen. The Air Alliance Admiral confirmed that Neo's group was working for the Alliance when he talks about Rona giving him the intelligence. Meaning it was them, the Alliance, that struck the first blow, because they were the ones who sent the terrorist group to steal the Gundams. So this whole thing started with them.
I've said that 1,000 times.
Yeah, I know, but we were not really clear they were like directly working with the Alliance, with the I guess this is the Northern Federation, the Earth Federation,
Atlantic Alliance, which turned
Atlantic
into
Alliance.
The Atlantic Federation.
Yeah. Or they were their own faction. Now it's confirmed that at very least it's the Atlantic Federation.
I've ranted about this forever.
Yeah, I know, but
I mean, since season 1, since before you joined the Gundam Seed Watch, The Atlantic, the Earth Alliance fucking starts everything. Every time. Everything is because of them. And then when we watched this, when we got into Destiny, I even ranted again. They did it again. They always start everything. That's why it's like...
Designated villains.
Well, yeah, that's why I said last time we recorded in the notes that I feel like the narration is pushing us towards siding with Zaft. Because we're not in the gray area anymore. One side, granted, extremists on one side try to crush the planet with the debris of maybe a possibly extinction level event. But also remember that that extinction level event was the gravesite of the last time the Alliance successfully nuked a thing. So, anyway. I have one note left, but I think, how many notes do you have left?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, so I'm just going to make one up off the top of my head here, as memory serves. I was watching the last episode, and I think we mentioned this during one of the reactions. I want to mention it here in the notes again. Mirai is crouched over what looks to be Roanoke's mask in the ending credits.
So either he gets killed or gets unmasked.
Yeah, but also, why would she be crouching over his mask?
Because she knows him?
It could be.
Hence,
But
that's
also,
why
they
he's
have
wearing
no-
the mask.
I mean, otherwise they have no other relation. There's no tying them together.
Well,
Everybody
she's
else in
playing
the
the
ending
role-
is next to somebody that they know, except for Mir, who is for some reason sitting on something with the mechanics of the Minerva, which implies I don't know what.
Remember, she's also she's playing the role this season of the investigator, the reporter. So maybe she's investigating.
No, you're talking.
The
I
situation.
said Mirai. You're talking about Fra.
Fraud, yeah.
Yeah, no, Mirai, the former captain of the Archangel, the one who's with Waltfield that you're calling a floozy. You can't tilt your head. You said she's asleep with anybody she's in the house with.
No. Yeah, but that means.
Yeah, now you're on board. Now you think it's not Fra.
No. I mean, it's like if it's somebody from her past.
First boyfriend wasn't actually dead?
Yeah. Or a clone or something of him.
I hate that clones are in the picture now.
I mean, they are in the picture, so and he's called Neo for a reason. Like he's new. He's a new guy, right? And Neo is more of a not merely new, but like reborn. We use the term Neo for somebody who is or something that's been. It's a new version of something that we already know.
I just mean the element that we put clones on the table, right?
Yeah.
At some point, somebody could have like waken up from a dream, and like everything before that was just a dream, and be like, "Oh fuck, this is a whole dream again."
Yeah.
Like, oh, did we walk out of the holodeck? How many times have we walked out of the holodeck?
It's a snow globe. Somebody's holding a snow globe on like.
Well, yeah, it's a kid who's dreaming about a hospital. Which ironically, I guess, ties him also to... Oh, I can't remember the name of the universe, but can you reverse tie him to Citizen Kane?
No, because they were different snow globes.
Right. No, not different snow globe. I'm obviously following on snow globe theme, but he's holding the snow globe of which the hospital is in, right?
Yes.
Now, he is technically from, what, the 70s?
Oh, the 80s.
Was it 80s? Sorry, I thought it was earlier than that. But Citizen Kane, that's like 30 years before that?
1930s.
Oh, was it? Sorry, I thought it was like the 50s.
No, it's
I'm at least 10 to 20 years off on everything. Anyway, I wasn't alive. I don't fucking care. My point being that actors from those movies could still have found their way into TV shows within 40 years.
Yeah.
So is it possible? Because I never imagined there's a cutoff point for this super universe of all media. Also, the real world kind of exists in there because real people show up in those shows.
Yeah.
So technically, we're in that universe. But then that would mean that the kid who's dreaming of everything is in the universe he's dreaming of.
Yes.
God, we need to make a book.
That's gonna be trippy. I think somebody already has explored the
Well, because it's like an
Elmo's Fire
Owlman
universe.
level of destroy the
Yeah.
universe, right? We got to go
Yeah.
find the kid who's never woken up in this universe, so we can wake him up, and that'll destroy the universe. Which, by the way, is a French cartoon.
Yes.
I remember there's a French cartoon, which is basically the dream inhabitants of this guy that are dreaming find out that they're dream inhabitants. So they make a portal into the real world to try and take the guy who's dreaming them into their world so that they can prevent him from waking up. And in the process, they wake him up. So...
Yes, and Elmo's Fire TV series, yeah.
Right, no, I just mean you could make a... I don't know. Obviously, you couldn't because it would turn into a Ready Player One scenario. The rights holding things you'd have to.
No, it's because there's also the movie Elmo's Fire, which is not tied to
same characters
to this TV series. It's been a long time. That's a rabbit hole I don't want to go into right now. Never mind. Yeah, we still haven't started watching the episode, so. Yeah.
Well, you still have 3 notes left. I have a note left too.
Yeah, but these are going to be pretty short, so probably going to see them. You already talked about the commander of Orb not firing on the ship, disobeying orders. So
Captain.
Take that. Yeah, Captain. But I'm going to talk about mobile armors. Mobile armors never win the day. They can cause a lot of damage, but in the end, they always fail. It also are like, since 79... Huh?
The Adsum essentially won and then left.
That's in 8th MS-team, right?
Oh. 79, as you were just saying, as I interrupted you on the word describing where Adsum comes from. That's McWeaves.
Yeah. Well, no, he doesn't, because he tried to capture the Gundam and the Gundam escape. He leaves, but doesn't win that fight.
I'm counting it as a win. Because he could have
survived.
Oh no, because he stopped.
He got destroyed.
Remember that he could have destroyed the Gundam, and then he chose not to for some reason. Because the Gundam was stuck, no power, because he's electrocuting the outside of the suit so much that the entire suit's power is going to keeping the thing from melting. So he just chooses to stop doing that for some reason. He doesn't say he had to. He just does. He effectively won and then chose to do something else.
Yeah, there's probably only a mobile armor that I know that it wins. Every other example of mobile armor that I can remember, they just lose.
Well, in our shared experience, they're all prototypes so far. So, and again, they're all going up against the protagonist's Gundam. So,
yeah. The next one is also about the same battle with the mobile armor, and Chin bust a nut. That's the first time he goes like Super Saiyan.
Yeah, my problem is I think the joke is getting less funny every time we say it.
Yeah. And my final note, again, and this goes back to Durandal. Again, for all the talk about peace and free will, Durandal pushed Arthur to exactly where he wanted him, and both he and Mir shared that flat-lipped smirk of theirs at the end. Because he literally turns to, he's like, oh, I'm going to give you the old faith symbol, but you should join the Minerva. Here's, you're not going to be part of the regular forces. Here's the pin from faith, your old unit, which, by the way, you just, reunited with your old 2 friends that were members of faith, right? So, but yeah, you go to Minerva, you do your thing, right? And it's him putting the SAF uniform again. And then he turns to Mir, who happens to be there for whatever reason. Well, actually, no. I know what Mir is doing there. Mir is sort of reinforcing that connections to Lacus and his past life, right? That we talked about before. Why she was so eager to meet him and all that. And so he turns to her, has a tight-lipped smirk of his, and she does like literally the same smirk back at him. And that's how, and then he's talking about, and also the fact, is an added note, that his unit is not called the Freedom, his unit is called the Savior. Which goes back to that.
Still Savior, sorry. But we already covered that a long time ago when I went through all the names that show up in the opening of the show.
Yeah. So the fact that that's the unit that is given to him by Durandal, and I talked about my ongoing theory about Durandal having a literally a messianic, image of himself that kind of reinforces. I have to go back to the name so that because who has what, right? It's interesting that
It's literally on the board.
what, yeah, the names of the ones that get stolen. Among them are Gaia, which is another name for Earth, and now it's in the hands of the Earth Alliance. And one of those is Strife. I think it's Gaia, Strife, and I don't know which of the other one was. Chaos.
Yeah, it's funny. When
Yeah.
looking, was
How
looking for
convenient.
no, I was funny. I was looking for the name of that song. One of the
Yeah.
OSTs is literally the name of those 3 Gundams, so that's why I remember it.
So Earth, which is where the Earth Alliance comes from, Strife and Chaos, which is what the wars brought back to the
Alternatively, aren't those the
universe.
names of different Titans?
That too, which are defeated by Zeus in the war against the Titans.
Or Kratos, depending on your version of events.
Yeah. So yeah, those are my notes.
All right, well, I still have my last one, so.
Durandal being a little shit, basically, again.
So the Minerva and Shin managed to destroy at least 11, to my count, ships of the Federation fleet out of the 22 that they count before. So when they retreated, they had lost 50% of their forces. Shin is now in seed mode, staring down the Orb fleet that had just opened fire to warn the Minerva off and drive it into danger, after having told Kigali that he'd destroy Orb himself if they did exactly what they ended up doing. And here's my thing. This all pissed me off, and I want nothing more than to see Shin enact that vengeance on Orb. But recognizing that it's Tadaka in command gives me some hesitancy. I don't know what the relationship is like between Tadaka and Shin. Shin decided to go to Orb. Shin decided to go to Zaft and stay, while Tadaka clearly returned to Orb. But my expectation is for some sort of adoptive familial interaction. So in that case, I'd rather Shin not go on a rampage and kill him intentionally or accidentally.
We'll see.
Well, they have no choice unless we give up the show right now.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess if that's everything, let's go ahead and hop on into it.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Yep, I guess it's time to start killing people. Huh. That's not the same color as Atherin or Kira.
Or somebody else.
No, when Kira and Atherin go into seed mode, they have like a little brown seed or whatever. His glowed yellow, not red or orange. I don't know if that implies anything, because it happened so quickly that I don't know if we're even meant to be able to see it. I don't know how you can even comment about Mir smiling or grinning. She's always fucking grinning.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're gonna show it right now. No, they didn't. Because
also pointedly, oh, we're gonna show it here. No. Savior has this weird triangle thing right around where I guess the cockpit entrance would be, that I was trying to identify if it was the same thing as what the Freedom and Justice had, that indicated that they ran off of
nuclear reactor, yeah. That are batteries.
Well, because at the moment, the Freedom and the Justice are the only ones that have unlimited power sources, wherever they they may be. But, yeah. Well, obviously, we're going to see one this episode. Freedom should be showing up. Yeah. As per, the not-so-veiled next time on.
Chaos?
Well, no, sorry. Yeah, we've already done
And
this.
Abyss, the
Yeah.
Abyss. Yeah.
Again, we've already covered this.
Yeah.
Also, they're on the board. I have little images of the
Yeah,
with
yeah.
them. My point, what I was about to say is, if Kira still has the freedom, then where the fuck did the justice go? Because we just gave Atherin the savior,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But where's justice? Does that imply that somebody's going to be getting the justice later? Is Shin going to
probably-
get the justice?
As a mid-season
Shin-
upgrade, perhaps?
Shin gets the justice to fight Kira, justice for his family.
Resurrected Wings.
霊機ルナマリア機収容完了。インパルス起動しました。
Oh, he
もう
returned.
これ以上の追撃はないと考えたいところ
I guess he didn't go in a roaring rampage of revenge.
What a great cliffhanger that turned out to be.
朝、艦の被害状況の把握、急いでね。
はい。ダメージコントロール。各セクションは速やかに状況を報告せよ。
でも、こうして切り抜けられたのは間違いなく真のおかげね。
おお、信じられませんよ。空母2隻を含む敵艦6隻ですからね、6隻。
I'm sorry, no, it was 6 by him. 11 total, not just killed by Shin. Shin's hit by that post-seed clarity.
勲章ものですよ。
でもあれがインパルス。というか、あの子の力なのね。なぜレイではなく、真にあの機体が預けられたのか、ずっとちょっと不思議だったけど、まさかここまで分かってたってことなのか。
Is he jealous?
ユランダル議
No,
長
remember Ray agreed with everything he was doing before.
議長は DNA 解析の専門家でもいらっしゃいますから。
Oh, the chairman is also special in DNA
それ
analysis.
にしてもすごかったです。
Interesting.
At this point, we're just giving them too many skills.
自分も
Yeah.
噂に聞くヤキンドゥーエのフリーダムだってここまでじゃないでしょう。うん
I doubt that.
カーペンタリアに入ったら報告とともに叙勲の申請をしなくちゃならないわね。軍本部もさぞ驚くことでしょうけど。
さあ、ほらもうお前ら。
Yeah, what? It's some random other sea? Man, these Super Saiyans are coming out of the woodwork.
ほんとどうしちゃったわけ？なんか急にスーパー S 級じゃない。火事場のバカ力ってやつ？
さあ、よくわからないよ、自分でも。大武官が発砲したのを見て、頭きて、こんなんでやられてたまるかって思う。
As it should have.
急に頭の中クリアになっ
うん。ぶち切れたってこと？
て。いや、そういうことじゃないと思うけど。
何にせよ、お前が船を守った。生きているということは、それだけで価値がある。明日があるということだから。
Said all those dead people.
Oh, he counted the people he cares about. Himself and the others. Uh-oh. I think he is
No, it
jealous.
just very much reminds me of a George Carlin sketch.
世界安全保障条約機構に正式加盟する方針です。
このまま進めば世界はやがて認める者同士が際限なく争うばかりのものとなろう。そんなもので良いか、君たちの未来は。戦争の根を学べ、係。
In case you forgot what Seed is all about.
終わらん。意地を張り、むやみと敵を作り、あの大国を敵に回す方がどれだけ危険か。国はあなたのおもちゃではない。
That's what I'm saying is Unta's point is very much still in the theme.
相変わらずだね、ここは。まったく昔のままだ。おじさまたちの墓ももういい加減ちゃんとしないといけないな。
言うな。
ここだと思った。でもダメじゃないか。護衛の一人も連れずに歩き回っちゃう。欧部国内は安全とはいえ、今は情勢が情勢なんだよ。
Yeah, you ass.
Oh, at least he didn't whip out his dick and start pissing on the grave.
用があるから来たんだろ、わざわざ。だったら早く言えよ。
やれやれ。 君はまずその言葉遣いをなんとかしないとね。国の母たらん立場のはず。
Remember, this is the girl that ran off on her own and joined a resistance operation in the middle of the African desert.
僕はさっきおじさまの日にご報告と誓いを申し上げてきた。オーブもカガリも僕が命に変えても守りますってね。
Yeah, you're much of a coward. I don't
I
think you'll
imagine at
protect
some
it.
point he's gonna take the ring off of her finger to put his own ring on it.
Yeah.
時を同じくしてということになった。最近の情勢には国民も皆動揺してるからね。我々市長たちは皆思いを同じくし。
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of these people remember who was attacked before.
その意思を示す意味もあるし。
そんな、ちょっと待てよ言うな。私はまだ。
子供の時間は終わりだよ、カガリ。ちょっと早くてかわいそうな気もするが。君も僕もナチュラルだ。そしてオーブは大西洋連邦と同盟。
Yeah, there's the blue cosmos thing.
どの道無理な話なんだよ。コーディネーターの彼とは所詮生きる世界が違う。
Orb has a lot of coordinators that live here, though.
でもしょうがないだろ。
Well, maybe they used to.
僕と結婚せず彼を選ぶと国民に言う。だからまたプラントに着きたい。大西洋連邦は敵になると。
そんなことは。
じゃあ国も責任もすべて放り出して出て行くのか。アスハの名を持ちながら。
I just followed that whole conversation I had before about the people evacuating and where they would go. Like, assumedly a bunch of naturals went to the plants when they evacuated. What the fuck happened to them? That maybe they did just...
Oh. Oh.
オーブ連合市長国代表市長たる今の君の立場のそばにはね。
So they're planning to kill all the coordinators. Yeah, it says we can't have any of them around.
I love his shirt. When I was a late teen, young 20s, it's the shit I was wearing.
さてどうかな。
昨日の方が好き。
Desert Tiger. That's a mug for it. Hey, it's my
The song
song.
again. Yeah.
でも
どうぞ。レディーファーストだ。
いえ。
Ladies
こういう
first.
時は男性からでしょ。
まあオーブの決定はな。残念だが仕方のないことだろうとも思うよ。
ええ。かがりさんも頑張ったんだろうとは思いますけど。
代表といっても。
It's a horrible place for papers to begin with.
この情勢の中での政治は難しすぎる。彼女を責める気はないがね。問題はこっちだ。
ええ。
君らはともかく、俺やキラやラクスは引っ越しの準備をした方がいいかもしれんな。
プラントへ。
そこしかなくなっちまいそうだね。このままだと。
If there's one thing we know, that's Reverend Malchio can get you there pretty easily. In fact, don't even have to be on screen.
ああ、よければ君も一緒に。まあ、あんな宣戦布告を受けた後だ。今はまだプラントの市民感情も荒れているだろうが。
Seems like a very intimate picture.
I mean, she dressed in really tight-fitting shit all the time, too, so, I mean, it was just, like, normal for her.
どこかでただ平和に暮らせて。
Sorry, that should be the theme. Robots and organics getting together.
Yeah, yeah.
まだ何が欲しいっていうのかしら。私たちは。
I mean, I guess if they knew you were here.
いいな。
Of her death at the site.
Of course, they're going after Lacus. Now, if these guys are coordinators, then that's probably pretty damning for Durandal. Now, if these are naturals, it's probably Orb.
Or Yuna and his father. Remember, he said we can't leave any coordinators.
Well, Yuna and his father are Orb. I'm generally saying Orb.
But you know, when. Yeah.
I'm trying to denote the difference between who's responsible here. It's Zaft or Orb. Of course, he dreams about fucking coffee. Sorry, I think you missed a lot of the scenes with him and coffee in the first season. His cane better be part sword. He's wearing clothes. What?
Yeah.
That's the most unrealistic part about this whole episode. All those kids just woke up and did what they were told.
Yeah.
Stay away from the windows. Just walk past the window.
These are war orphans, too.
Actually, it's never actually... We don't know where they come from. Malshio had a bunch of kids at his place before anything else happened. Double tap. I think she studied in the Matrix.
Yeah. That's a very sturdy. Well,
two tables together. To be fair, season 1, he just puts an outdoor table in front of him, and it blocks a bunch of rockets and shit.
That's a big gun.
No, it's his arm.
Oh yeah.
I was very confused because I couldn't figure it out either. Because like the way he's holding it, see the. It does explain why he had like no reaction to getting stabbed though. Because like, dude's a badass, but this dude's turning the blade in your arm.
Yeah.
Remember that coordinators can move super fast, by the way.
And Kira is the one that never gets hit by anything that he doesn't want to get hit for.
Also, remember that Lacus is our coordinator too, and doesn't usually need to be rescued. I don't know. It's weird. I guess her argument that she's not in the military.
They're coordinators. The attackers.
Well, I guess it's damning for Durandal, unless there's Zala faction.
Yeah, but how convenient that Durandal already has a substitute for Lacus.
Could be. Coincidences do happen. Bring out the asses. Because remember, though, that it's the Lacus faction that... it was Lacus faction. Lacus faction that stood against Patrick. Well, I guess that's the problem with having a panic room in a Gundam universe.
Also, the fact that they managed to pull this attack in Orb, and Orb is supposed to be...
Well, Zaft is the only group we've ever seen with underwater shit.
Yeah. But you would think that Orb would protect his waters better now, especially if they are in a wartime situation.
I mean, if they think Carpentera is locked down and Gibraltar is on the other side of the planet. Remember when she used to command a battleship? And now she's afraid?
Yeah, but I think she's afraid of what she's gonna ask. He's asking Kira to do. Yeah.
このまま君たちのことすら守れずにそんなことになる方がずっと辛い。
Well, my days of having a show without Kira in it, I guess, are being over. Yet another defense system that would be ill-prepared to handle Dakak. By the way, this is the entire how do you explain the Batcave scenario, right?
Yeah. But I think you explained it because Kigali allowed for it, but that also means that probably Orb knows about it. You idiots just made a huge mistake. Unless this is something that they actually wanted Kira to come out and fight. Yeah.
Like I said, what you would explain for this being Durandal, a lot of it also makes sense for a Zaft faction to want to instigate more fighting. Oh, we got the big guy back in his suit. Oh, that's weird. Ulan. It's also a character name from Razafon. Or it's a nickname for a character in Razafon.
You should know what that is. And you should run right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they know.
Well, they should. Freedom is a Zaft mobile suit.
Yeah.
Okay, how far away do your neighbors have to be to have called this in by now?
Yeah. At least you can question him. Or not.
Yeah, well, I was about to complain. There we go. I didn't realize he had done that to every one of them, because I was saying, remember, Kira doesn't kill anybody. If he can immobilize you, he will.
Yeah.
So I was about to bitch about that, and then everyone else started exploding. Oh, he didn't kill any of them. Bum, 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 bum. Also, what? How the fuck did you get into the cockpit?
Maybe he was always there.
Except that he's been everywhere else.
Yeah.
The reason I don't want it to be Durandal isn't because I want to protect Durandal. I don't want it to be Durandal because that's the obvious thing. And I like to think that we're running with a more mystery story than literally in the first 13 episodes, Durandal shows himself to be the bad guy. And I think the less obvious thing would be a Zala faction. Try and maybe either make Durandal look bad, because obviously that would be the play too if they know about Mir. That, you know, it's a double bluff. You know, we try to kill Lacus to make Durandal look implicit in this action.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't want it to be so obvious, because again, they said there's an element of this that we might not like, and I'm always on the lookout for what's the thing that people think we're not going to like.
Yeah.
戦火の中でその瞳を信じた、その腕を信じた。だからこそ夢見て走ることができた道。が時至れば願った世界はそこになく、闇の中一人立ち尽くす自分。再びの空を駆ける翼が
A wedding rescue.
Not really.
機動戦士ガンダムシードデスティニー。明日への旅立ち。さらなる未来へ発信せよ。
She doesn't want to get married, and he comes
Archangel.
in and rescues. Yeah, he comes and rescues her.
There's a difference. That looked like a kidnapping. That wasn't a rescue. Now, if she wants to be kidnapped, it's a different thing. Wanting to be kidnapped and getting kidnapped is still not a rescue. It's still a kidnapping.
But I don't think she wants to get married. Clearly, she doesn't want to get married.
Obviously not, but she's not fighting against it either. No, she's not saying, she's not even saying, I don't want to get married. Obviously, the body language is there, and we know as outside observers, but she's not like, no, I'm not marrying you. She's not saying anything. He's like, you can't make your own decisions, we're getting married. And she's like, that's it. Obviously, she didn't get she didn't get chloroformed and woke up in the dress. She's taking all the steps to get there. Also, not once has she called Kira like, I don't want to get married, right? Kira is just apparently, as far as we can tell, showing up and kidnapping her.
Yeah, it's his twin. He's the brother. He's like, no, this is my sister. You're not marrying that son of a bitch. That's it. I'm putting my foot down. Basically, he's doing the big brother things. Like, no, Dad wouldn't approve. Well, actually, Dad wouldn't have cared, literally. But yeah.
Which one?
The biological one.
Anyway, also not for nothing, he's technically attacking a head of state in public view of everybody.
We'll see what happens.
The problem is you can't introduce depth to a show and then ignore it. Like, oh, there's giant political machinations around here. This person reports to this person, and this one has authority over that one. And then be like, oh, it's fun to play with the Gundam. Let me grab the president and run away. You know, like, oh, that is major implications. Like, also, do they think Kira is a coordinator? Yeah. So they're going to see this as a coordinator action against the head of state of Orb, which is huge implications towards what the people of the country might then believe if whatever Yuna and Untha say about what's happening, or Uta rather, say about what's going on. A coordinator just kidnapped your princess, essentially. You know what we call those people? Bowser.
I think this next on might be very misleading. I think there's a little bit more to it. I would hope there's a little more to it than that.
You have your hope for what the next time on is the same way as my hope for what happened in this episode.
That's it. That's all I gotta say.
You had nothing to say about the whole episode that you just watched?
Not really, because again, the fact that what Yuna was saying was like he had to go. No, it's not that I hate coordinators, but we can't have them here, which kind of betrays one of the things about Orb, that coordinators and naturals who live side by side, right? So there's that. It's like, and that sounded very much like, oh, we're gonna commit like attempted genocide, But I don't hate them, but and the way the attitude he took with Kagali, like grab by the wrist, like, oh, you got to stop being a child, right? Like, fuck you, I want, now what I want is like, oh, I rescued my sister. Oh, I'm so sorry.
You understand that your camera only goes like around here? So you're looking down and you're doing this. There's a different implication that's being made.
I'm hitting my desk. I'm not.
You curved. You went like this. Not helpful that you started that by talking about your sister.
Okay. That's no. We're not going to go there.
But it follows on what I was talking about before about what happened to the citizens of Orb post. Sorry, the word refugee is coming into my head. That's not the word I wanted to say. Evacuation, post-evacuation, like the element of fact that a bunch of coordinators and naturals went to Zaft. Zaft at the time was being run by Patrick Zalo, who was vehemently anti-natural. So what happened to the naturals that evacuated to Zaft? The same kind of idea is happening here now with a pro-natural Orb government. Yeah, what happens to the coordinators that were once welcome here? Not for nothing, but apparently the most powerful of coordinators were made by Orb citizens.
Yeah.
Well, Habiki and whatever the other one was called.
Yeah.
Were Orb citizens, and they created
Kira.
Well, yeah, no, I was leaving it implied in the air.
So, yeah, there you go.
All right, well, I guess if that's it, then once again, I've been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?